In this video I'm going to demonstrate how to perform a digital pre-anaesthesia assessment. So first what I want to do is find my patient. So I go to View, I go to BRI Theatre Scheduling, and I find my list, what I've got today. I know I'm working in Bronte 2 and it's today's date. Click on Bronte 2. This is my theatre list. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to Control C and copy the operation, and I'm going to click into my patient to take them into the patient's power chart. So this is now into the patient's power chart and I can see all the details are all up here. Okay. What I want to do now is come over to this left hand side, this blue column, and you can see here we've got an anaesthetist tab. AFT, Airedale Foundation Trust, BTHFT, Bradford Teaching Hospitals, as this is a joint product which has been designed by both trusts. Click on here and this will bring us into our specific pre-anaesthesia digital assessment. You can see here we've got our pre-anaesthesia workflow. This is called an M page. You see lots of details here, and all these details, this list corresponds to this section here. Okay, and what this is doing, it's pulling information from different areas of power chart together to pre-populate your anaesthetic assessment to make it easier and hopefully quicker for you to complete your assessment. What you want to do is you want to work down this section on the left hand side and populate the tables as you go. So let's start working through here. If you click on here, it will take to that section. For example, if I just want to go straight down to allergies, it will take me straight down to allergies here. But let's work through it. So you've got patient details, the procedure which is planned. So I'm just going to do a Control V and type that operation in, and I'm going to save it. Any recent observations will be pulled through. So the most recent observations will automatically pull through onto your record. You can also search for observations which have been added previously. This is the same for any blood test when we'll get down to that later on. NCPOD classification. So for any of these three text boxes, you have an auto text functionality built into this. Now I cannot demonstrate this on the mock domain that I'm currently on, but if you was to do a full stop and type in the title of this box, which is NCPOD, in lowercase NCPOD, it would bring up an auto text functionality, and this is to enable you to document more information accurately and quicker. So let's type in elective. Save. Past medical history. Anything that has previously been coded for this patient will pull through. If anything has been missed, then to add a medical condition, for example asthma, you would click on this part here, type in the condition, click on it, and it will pull it onto your list. Now you can see you've got a this visit and you have a chronic. This visit means that this asthma will stay on the record, and then when the patient is discharged from this encounter, it will drop off. So you want to always click it on chronic so it will stay there. If any of these comorbidities are no longer required, then you can click resolve and you can take it off. Other past medical history will, this is another section of past medical history which will pull through. Any procedures, previous procedures for the patient will pull through here. Family history, social history, nothing on here for this patient because it's a mock patient, but all the relevant information which is collected at the pre-assessment clinic at St Luke's, and when that is added into their power form, it will automatically pull through into this section here. Any previous anaesthetic records which have been completed on the new digital essay anaesthesia module will pull through here. Any records which were completed before we went live in December 2024 will still be on paper and can be viewed through the Evolve function, which is a separate program. ASA grade. Any allergies will pull through here. Any regular medications, so these are medications which are taken by the patient at home, will automatically pull through. Inpatient medication, so that if, for example, this will be populated if a patient is on a ward and then they come to theatre. Medication timeline just gives you more information about what doses were administered and at what time. Relevant investigations, and this includes any blood tests. So again, as this is a mock patient, that we have no blood tests added, but if you were to click in the last 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or change it to a longer time period, any blood tests which the patient has had completed will populate in here. And if you want to pull that blood test into your record, you would click on hemoglobin and a tag button would come up here. You would click tag and it would then pull that value into your record. Again, blood components, there is a free text auto function. If you was to type a full stop and blood components in lowercase, you will have your auto text come up. Airway review and metabolic equivalent or exercise tolerance you are at this point unable to add any information, and that's because these are stored in a power form and which is found here at the end of our list, and I'll come to that later. Documents are the same as documentation over here, and so that's basically any records or free text box or anything, for example clinic letters, these will all come under here, and again you can filter it into a different time duration, and actually the list is easier to see in here rather than looking in the document section here. Again, we've got a fasting status reflux, and we've got an anaesthetic risk and benefits discussion. Again, for both of these, type a full stop and the title in lowercase, and it will bring up auto text. If you want any more auto text, if you look at the intranet page, I've made a list of all the auto text functionalities that is there for you to use. So I hope if you remember that we were talking about airway and metabolic equivalent. So let's go back to airway. We couldn't add any information in here, and that's because they are part of the form section. We've got other forms down here, but I'll specifically concentrate on the airway and functional assessment. If you click on airway, it will bring you up a box where you can document lots of information about the patient's airway very quickly. For example, incisor distance, Mallampati, grade of neck movement, dentition. You can add any comments here about previous airway management or any comments about the airway plan. If you do not complete a box, for example here, the Calder test, it will not pull the information through. And you press tick, you have to sign it, and you press OK. That will pull through into your record. Let me fill in a few of these boxes so you can see what it looks like. This is our first page. Our first page, which is a draft. We will then move on to a formalised page, which you need to check before signing and submitting. Let's just pull through bits and bobs of information here. Okay. So I'm happy with what I've completed. At the bottom here, you'll see some other things so anyone who's doing obstetrics, we have an additional obstetric pre-anaesthesia assessment power form which you can use to help document your anaesthetic assessment. Once I'm happy with my draft version, I click on Pre-Anaesthesia Assessment, and what that's going to do is going to pull all the information through into a finalised version for you to double check before signing and submitting. So you can see all this information is already populated through what I've previously added. You'll also see lots of information on here, for example, airway review. If you do not add anything in any of these sections, it will not pull through to your finalised chart. So you do not need to delete anything on here. Okay? You can always add more information. For example, we did not complete a form on exercise tolerance. So if I wanted to then add something on here, I'd click on the insert free text and I could put greater than 4 meds. The benefit of completing the form on the previous page is that anything that you do add, for example past medical history, will be coded. Nothing here will be coded because it's a free text functionality. So these are all the forms which were already present, but we didn't complete them, so it will not pull the information through. Okay, so I'm happy with all this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign and submit it, and then this will be our formalised pre-anaesthesia assessment. So when you sign and submit it, it will drop into the document section. So I've signed and submitted it, so now I go into the document section. You'll see we've got a pre-anaesthesia assessment created by myself. So if you click on that, this is the section here. And as you can see, this is the streamlined version, so all the things that weren't added or completed will not pull through to your final pre-anaesthetic assessment. Other things to note: ECGs will not pull through onto here. You'll need to search on a program called ECG Muse, M-U-S-E, to find the ECGs. And any group and save or cross-match blood will not pull into here. This has to be reviewed by the ICE system still. If you've completed your assessment, you've finalised it, and it's dropped in the document section, you're done. But if anything changes and you need to add a note onto this or modify it in any special way, you can do that perfectly easy. Go back into it, double click it, and it'll ask you to revise or amend a note. Amending just means adding a sentence at the bottom of the note. If you revise the note, you can actually go into the full document and change it. So I could then change this to urgent. Sign it again, and it will drop back into the document section. And you'll see the document has been revised. So that is how to perform a digital pre-anaesthesia assessment.